this video, I will reveal Alexandria Burgio's duct tape magic trick on Britain's Got Talent. Here's a quick recap of what happened. Alexandria began by taping Simon's mouth and handing 4 balls to random audience members. One by one, each volunteer made a choice from the options she pointed to. She started with odd or even. The first volunteer chose even, so the odd numbers were erased. The second volunteer then chose any even number and selected 8, therefore the rest were removed from the board. The third volunteer chose red, and the fourth chose hearts, leaving the final card as the 8 of hearts. Alexandria then removed the duct tape from her face and pulled a folded card from her mouth sealed inside a plastic bag. She opened it and revealed the exact card the audience had selected, the 8 of hearts. Next, she asked Simon to point to any card on the lip service board with a laser pointer. The card he chose was flipped to reveal the word fierce. Then the board was turned to show all the other words he could have picked. They were all different. Finally, she walked over to Simon and removed the tape from his mouth, revealing that the word fierce had been written on the inside of the duct tape from the very beginning. So, how did she do it? Well, before revealing the secret, there are already a few things that give the trick away. First, you can see the sticky side of the tape isn't actually touching her face. Because of the lighting and the close-up shot, it's clear the tape covering her mouth is showing the plain outer side, not the adhesive side. The second thing is the card. Although it looks like she's holding a single card, you can actually see the edges of several others before it's fully unfolded, which means the card isn't what it appears to be. A similar detail can be spotted on the cards on the lip service board, where each one has a horizontal crease running through it.
I can see the Statue of Liberty from here.
Why haven't you joined my Patreon for absolutely free yet? We now have almost 500 members on Patreon, and I've got special early access videos planned for you all there. But for those who want to support in general, there's also a $1 option.
Or just one.
Join today. If you haven't figured it out by now, here's the secret. Basically, the card that comes out of her mouth is gimmicked to produce multiple outs for all 4 suits of the same value. The 8 of hearts can unfold into the 8 of spades, clubs, or diamonds, which is why those extra flaps show up in the close-up. But that only explains half the trick, because the question now is, how exactly did she know the volunteers would land on the number 8 so she could load that specific card in her mouth in the first place? Were the volunteers in on it? No. They really did have a free choice between odds and evens. The catch is that from the start, Alexandria's mouth was taped, and at no point did she say whether the numbers they pointed to would stay on the board or be erased. This uses equivoque, often called the magician's choice, to guarantee an even number survives. If the volunteer had said odd, she could still follow the same logic by erasing the odd numbers first, then continuing to erase whichever numbers the volunteer points to from the remaining evens until only one is left. The key is staying consistent. If the chosen numbers are treated as the ones to be erased, every choice from that point on gets erased. It still feels fair, but the process always collapses to a single even number. And it doesn't have to be 8. As long as the final result is even, it could be 2, 4, 6, 10, or queen, which is where the multiple outs come in again. From the start, there was actually no card in her mouth. Instead, all 6 even-numbered cards were arranged behind the pink tape, hidden in plain sight. The moment the spectator calls out 8, you can see her back turned to the audience as her left hand reaches for the cloth, and her right hand moves very close to her mouth. Right then, the producers cut to a wide shot instead of the close-ups used throughout the performance in order to hide the suspicious move she's about to make. With her back turned, she quickly detaches the 8 that was stuck behind the board in plain sight and loads it into her mouth through the gap. At this very moment, if we go frame by frame, her right hand is behind the board. However, at one point, we can clearly see the folded card in her right hand as she reaches for the cloth. Then, as she wipes the numbers, her mouth moves close to the folded card. That's when she loads it into her mouth. Immediately afterward, the next frame shows a close-up of her left hand, because the producers were trying to conceal the moment when she loaded the card into her mouth. As I pointed out earlier, the tape was never actually sealing her lips, so her mouth was never fully closed, leaving just enough space to secretly load the gimmicked card. At this point, it doesn't matter whether the next volunteers choose red or black or any of the 4 suits, because the card can display every suit for that value. The second trick is actually very simple. Every card you see from the start is a flap card, and because of the camera angle, you can briefly spot the upper flap on a few of them. Each flap shows a different word at first, but when she removes the card from the lip service board, she closes the flap, revealing the word fierce underneath. That means it didn't matter which card Simon's laser landed on. Every card ultimately reveals fierce, which is how she forces his selection to match the word written on the tape. Behind this mask, only the truth remains till we meet again.